I'm really, really nervous, so if I start stuttering or repeating words, just ignore me. I'm going to cover the theories of evaluation. This I feel is really important because to understand what we're doing as community development workers, we kind of understand why we do it and where it sort of comes from. I've decided to look into the history of evaluation, basically where it more or less began and where it is now. I feel it shows a clear picture of where we are in terms of using evaluation in communities and schools and governments. Back in the 1940s, it was more or less used just to compare two groups of people, like academics, non-academic. It was kind of used in that sense. There was no sort of anything that came after it. It was just more or less to say these group of people are smart, these ones aren't. These can go forward, these can go this way. By the 1960s, it was used more on a larger scale, and it was used more or so in welfare reforms. The results were used to examine not just what was happening, but why. So during the 1960s, that was more or less the sort of the use of evaluation, especially within the United Kingdom. By the 1980s, it brought about the idea of incorporating social, political and contextual elements to an evaluation. That basically came down to the fact that the governments were putting a lot of money into using evaluation. So if the government's spending money, they want something back from it. So they're wanting to know, well, are we using this in the right way? What communities are getting what they need? And if we're spending this time, money and effort, then we want to bring something back. If it's going to save them money by not handing it out to certain communities, that's what they were going to do. By the 90s, evaluation was used so much that it actually became sort of set up on its own right. So there were national evaluation societies founded in the UK, the US and Australia. It basically gave evaluation an entity of its own. It was then sort of more or less seen as a huge part of societal development. By the 2000s, we see a rise in a more evidence-based approach to evaluation. This took a what works best approach with the intention of basing future policies and practices around the results. So we can see evaluation itself actually evaluated. By the time we got to the 2000s, it was then seen as a key structure of especially developing communities, societies, developing governments, workplaces, businesses of all used evaluation because the benefits outweighed not using it, more or less. So knowing the history and where it sort of is at the minute, I've decided to move on, and I really like this quote. It's a programme is a theory and an evaluation its tests. In order to organise the evaluation to provide a responsible test, the evaluator needs to understand the theoretical premise on which the programme is based. I would like you all to take 1 minute to just write down what do you think Wise meant by that quote. There's sticky notes and markers on the table if you want to just take 1 minute, and we'll do a countdown. Carl?
Yeah.
Yeah? Thank you very much. It's alright. I know, that's why I picked that one right up. Write something down.
Brings back memories.
Nearly there.
10 seconds. Extra minute.
So, Christine, what's your take on it?
I just wrote down, just, you need to know the theory to understand why things are done or need to be done a certain way.
100%. Emma, what did you think?
I wrote that you need to understand why programs implemented to see if it made a difference.
Aisling?
We done it collectively.
Oh, do you want to just shout out what you all thought?
So you need to know your subject before
Perfect, yeah, everybody's correct. Basically what he's saying is, in order to become an evaluator, you need to first understand what you're evaluating,
Yeah.
what angle you're coming from. And my way of looking at that was to link in community development with evaluation, and in order to do that, everyone here as community development practitioners, workers, volunteers, no matter what programme you're in, it's at the core that we always stick by these 5 values, which is social justice and equality, anti-discrimination, community empowerment, collective action, working and learning together. These are still essential even when we're using evaluation. It's vital that we stick by those core values in the way that we approach evaluating a certain programme, no matter whether it's a cooking programme, a learning programme, a general evaluation of the whole community. It's vital that we understand and work from the 5 core values of community development. As community development practitioners, how can we better become evaluators? Becoming a better evaluator is what we talked about there, knowing the background of evaluation, why it's used, what can we gain from it, and through knowing that, we can also move forward, be part of the development process of the programme. So that is, as community development workers, attending the setup of, say, take a summer scheme. So to work on that summer scheme, to become an evaluator in that summer scheme, you need to be involved from the beginning. You need to understand why it's set up, what you're going to deliver every day, what do you want to take from it every day, and basically what's the end results, what do you want from it at the end. And in order to do that, becoming an evaluator, understanding what you want, is going to help you question what's being done on an everyday basis. Having a clear understanding on the desired outcomes required, like I just said, and applying an evaluation method to the programme to measure if the desired outcomes were achieved. That's basically the reason why we use evaluation. It's to see, is what we're doing working? Is what we're doing even needed? You know, and that's, as community development practitioners, we need to understand and we need to basically incorporate in our everyday work. I have, for this presentation, looked closer at Kirkpatrick's 4 levels of evaluation. I'm going to show you a quick video before we discuss it, and it just more or less explains in 1 minute what Kirkpatrick sees as the way of applying evaluation. So I'm just going to quickly play this. Yeah, I know. Thank you.
Dr. Donald Kirkpatrick was a university professor and former president of the American Society for Training and Development. He's known for creating the 4 levels model for training course evaluation. His 4 levels of evaluation was designed as a sequence to evaluate training programs so organizations don't spend time or money on training that doesn't provide a worthwhile return. The first level of evaluation is reaction. This level measures how favorably the trainees reacted to the training. Here, the trainees evaluate the instructor, the materials, its presentation, and the venue. Level 2 is learning. This level measures what the trainees have learned. The trainer would measure these parameters against the learning objectives. Level 3 is behavior. At this level, the trainer evaluates the trainees to see if they've changed their behavior based on the training when they're back on the job. Specifically, it looks at how trainees have applied the information they've learned. Level 4 is results. At this level, the trainer analyzes the final results of the training by measuring the outcomes. These outcomes are measured against the criteria that the organization has determined would be good for business, for the employees, and for the bottom line. By analyzing each of these 4 levels, a trainer can gain a thorough understanding of how effective the training was and how it can be improved in the future. And that's Kirkpatrick's 4 levels of evaluation in 1 minute.
That's okay, love, they're going to fall all day, do you know that? I don't think they're the best. So Kirkpatrick, I have chose to use Kirkpatrick's 4 levels of evaluation to more or less just show each level How can it be applied in our everyday work that we do, no matter what we're using, what programs that we're delivering within communities or organisations. The first level is reaction. So it's all about the participant satisfaction. Does anybody know what way we could evaluate participant satisfaction? How would we go about that?
If they come back next week.
That's one way, Nancy. Anybody else?
Their needs being met through
And how do we do that? How would you know?
the
Surveys. It could be, it's,
well.
yeah, it's like feedback questionnaires. So what we do is, and at level 1, is you want to know if they're reacting favourably to what you're delivering. So it's using feedback questionnaires to evaluate on the job questions, you know, as you go, like what's happening. Reaction is the reaction to after the programme is delivered. So what you want to do is after you've done it, how did you feel? Were you comfortable? Did you learn? Were you happy? Were you not happy? That's what you want to get from level 1, it's their reaction. So level 2 is about learning. How do you think we could evaluate learning during a programme? Does anybody know what way we'll go about? Tests, anybody else? Assessments, yeah. So basically what learning is, it's evaluating how well the education programme worked. Did anybody gain any knowledge? And like Carolyn said, it's about using tests, Miriam, assignments as you're delivering the programme. So you've delivered one section of it, a quick assignment, a quick test. We could have handed out a test there after Carl's first lot of slides. Do you know what evaluation is now? Have you learnt what evaluation is? You know, that'll give Carl feedback as to whether or not he has done the job that he's supposed to do, and that's huge, especially when you're delivering programmes, what you want to get back from people. The third level would be behaviour. So you want to determine to what extent participants can demonstrate transfer of learning. Does anybody know how you would see if
They're not fidgeting there all the time and going to the toilet.
if you need the toilet, go to the toilet, they'll be holding it in.
Through asking, through the evaluation, asking the questions such as, is there anything that you've learned that's going to change your practice in the future in your own workplace?
Yeah, exactly. That's basically what it is. Determining a behaviour change of people that have participated in programmes usually takes place 3 to 6 months after the programme. So I've delivered a programme on drug awareness. You've gone out to your community, I'm coming back out 3 months later. How am I going to know whether or not what I've delivered to you, you're delivering to other people? So we come out and we do an evaluation. How has it changed your behaviour? Well, I understand drugs now. I know how to talk to adults about drugs. I know how to talk to teenagers about drugs. So I've changed your behaviours, your attitudes towards going forward and delivering a certain programme. That can be applied to any programmes within community development, organisations, businesses, you know. The essential outcome needs to be, you need to get back what you're putting in, and that's the whole point of having evaluation, to understand and make sure that what we're doing is essentially changing behaviours and attitudes. The fourth level is results. So does anybody know how you would go about gathering results, or?
They're coming to the next training because they've enjoyed this one.
Yeah. Anybody else involved in any?
Has there been a difference made within there? So what some of the whatever call it that, you know, those were surveys, the data that's been collected,
Yeah.
and has there been an uplift, has there been reduced crime or less drugs, that sort of
100%, that's it. Do you want results? We want to see results for what we've done. So if I'm delivering a programme on antisocial behaviour, like you just said, I want to see the results. I want to know, have specific measures been taken, and if they haven't, how can I go about doing that? And that's what the results, end of it then comes the fourth level. Evaluation at this level is about improving future learning programmes. Like Carl touched on before, what Freire says, without communication you don't have education. It's the same, people need to communicate. You can't just go out into the community, deliver a programme and just walk away. Through the use of evaluation, applying these 4 levels, we can get back information at each level that will then forward to the next programme that's delivered and benefit it and make it more unique and more sort of conceptible by the communities that we're delivering or businesses or organisations or wherever you want to apply it. So that's Kirkpatrick's 4 levels of evaluation. I hope everybody understood that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just need it.
You work away, Nancy. So Nancy, this is your part.
Yeah, would you like to give them my?
Yes, so I'm just going to pass over to Nancy for the next section. Thank you very much.